Hey everybody, welcome to another adventure in real estate. And guess what? It's middle of the month again, and it is time to bring you the market update. We can share with you what's going on in the real estate market. Here at the Kingery team at Mountain to Lake Realty, we work hard to keep up with what's going on. We share that information with you every opportunity we get. So here we are with the market update. First thing we think about when we think about what has happened in the month of July and kind of what's transforming here in the real estate market, you got to look at inventory. Inventory continues to grow. We're up over 1,680 units as of today. Those are residential units in the greater Roanoke Valley. And that would be up. That trend is continuing. That's been a trend that's been going on for the last 6 months, and we'll see. I do think we're going to see that to continue. Here as we move into talking about residential home sales, we look at what happened in the month of July. If we were to compare that to where we were in July of 2025, we didn't eclipse where we were a year ago. You know, last month and the month, you look at June sales, June was just slightly above where we were a year ago. Here in July, we're slightly below where we were a year ago. And you can see the numbers here. And then of course, if you were to compare it to where we were 5 years ago, you know, guys, that market there, the real estate market in 21 and 22 was really exceptional. And so when you look at comparing those numbers, we're not there by any means. But when you look at, we're breaking things down here at the Kingery team at Mountain Lake Realty. We do a fair amount of work in Franklin County. And when we break that down, you'll see a similar trend there in Franklin County as far as home sales, residential home sales, not quite as strong as they were a year ago, but still good demand. We do have homes moving and selling. Last column there kind of talks about where we are with the Smith Mountain Lake waterfront properties. You can see again, not quite as strong as we were in July of 25, but still product homes are moving. So keep that in mind. We talk about inventory, we talked about sales. We're going to talk about days on market. When you look at the 472 homes that sold in July of 2026, that is those 472 homes took 53 days to sell, or days on market there. And when you look at that and you compare it to maybe where we were a month ago, that's slightly up, but still not a lot of difference. And that signals to me this market is pretty steady. You know, there's not a lot of what I would say, you know, a lot of shakeup going on right now. It's just a very steady market. Homes come on the market, and it looks like they're on the market almost 2 months before they're sold. And you know, again, when we think about the pace of this market and what's happening, it's not a bad thing. It's just slower than what it has been when you compare it to you know, 12, 24 months you know, ago, if you will. So we talked about inventory, we've talked about sales, we talked about days on market. Jump in here real quickly, we'll talk about mortgage rates. Mortgage rates have kind of ticked up this week. When you look at what's gone on in the last 2 weeks, it's just a little tick. We're talking 6.6 to 6.7 is the average mortgage rate that's being quoted out here. That's a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. You know, obviously if you get into a 15-year or do some things a little different, you might be able to get a little better rate. But on average, 6.6, 6.7 is what we're seeing here as we move into this particular week. And guys, anytime we talk about mortgage rates, things get very specific to you as the individual, and so you may or may not be able to do better or worse. It's going to depend a whole lot on your credit. Last thing, I talked about inventory and it going up, and I do think that's a positive thing for this real estate market. But switching gears on you here, talk about land. Land sales are strong. It seems like we've got a good demand, a lot of interest in land. When you compare sales of land in July of 2026 to a year ago of July of 2025, we are up in comparison to that. And I do think that is a signal. I mean, it seems like land, as you look at the numbers, there's a good demand for land. And so if you're interested in selling land, you've got some land to sell, I certainly think it's a good time to get it on the market and get it out there. Last thing I'll kind of switch gears on you on is just talking generally about price. When we look at home price, I think, again, steady to a slight increase in home price is what we're seeing here in the market when we look at the July numbers and kind of what's continuing to happen. We're steady to a slight increase there in overall home values. And I think we're going to continue to see that, even though as inventory goes up, we're still not in what I would consider we've not shifted over into a buyer's market. I still think we're very balanced from that standpoint. But I think as we continue here, we've got a good demand, and we've got inventory is coming up every day. So we're getting more and more buyers into the market because they've got more options and more things to look at. So that's going to wrap things up for this adventure in real estate here in August and our market summary. We hope you'll stay with us here at the Kingery team at Mountain to Lake Realty for all your latest and greatest information in the real estate market. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.